Hey guys, it's Spades09 here, and today I thought I'd do something a little different. So if you watched probably certain of my videos, probably not a lot of them have this in it, but I really enjoy literature. I love to read. I really enjoy reading. I love reading from pleasure reading to analyzing books. I actually really enjoy analyzing books. It sounds kind of strange, but I love reading Dickens, and I love reading the really thoughtful works, and I also enjoy just reading works I don't know, more casual, so Hunger Games, stuff like that. I enjoy the whole spectrum of basically literature, and I find it fascinating. So today I thought that I'd give my top 10 book recommendations, because I really like to read, and I really like books. Just to let everyone know, I have not read every single book in the world, so I'm sorry if your book is not on here, on this list. I'm sorry if I offend you that, I don't have your book here. I probably haven't read it, or I have read it and I don't like it. I'm sorry. So we're going to start with number 10, and I actually have this book, or at least a representation of it with me, is the Divergent series. Now I know, it's a series. I know. Calm the cries, I know. They were okay movies, but the books I really enjoyed. So I have Allegiant, which is the last book of the trilogy. There is 4, but I haven't read that yet. But no, so this is Allegiant. This is actually probably my favorite book out of all of them. Perhaps the first one was also. I really liked the first and the third one. But it's basically about this girl, Triss, and she is part of a faction system with everyone else. So there is Erudite, Candor, Dauntless, Amity, and Abnegation. Sorry. And basically they're all each of the factions value something. So Candor values honesty, Abnegation values selflessness, so that. And basically it's her story. It's kind of almost political. It if you overanalyze it, it's a whole commentary on society and political stuff. But as a read, this is one of my just pleasure reads. I enjoy reading this for fun. It's not a book that I specifically analyze to get things out of it, but it is a really good book. Oh, and by the way, as you can tell, I'm counting series as one book because, or else it takes up so much space. Okay, so number 9 I actually don't have because I just gave it to a friend. I had it, but I let my friend, I gave it to my friend so she can read it. So I'm going to put the picture here. And basically, this is Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. Now, I read this book when I was a senior in high school in my AP literature class, and I really enjoyed this book. It's hard. The character, we don't really know much necessarily. We don't really know his name. We call him Invisible Man because that's who. So Invisible Man is referring to the narrator of the story, basically. It's a whole take on racism and how it's just into your own, in your own community. It's not just as simple as black and whites, that typical racist stuff. The book isn't too long. I think it's really good. I think it's well paced. The beginning's always slow exposition kind of thing, but I do think that is a really good read, and I think that it's something that deserves to be picked apart. I would say that for pleasure reading, the average reader might find it kind of confusing, which is why I think you kind of need to pick this book apart just a little bit to understand some stuff. And if you go even deeper, then there's just so much more to explore with this book. But no, I highly recommend it. Okay, the next book is a series again. And again, I do not have the whole series with me, nor do I have a representation of these books because I read it a while ago. I read it back in middle school, and I reread them again, and I still really like these books. So I'm gonna talk about it. So put it here. As you can see, it is a series of unfortunate events by Lemony Snicket. I love these books. These are pleasure reading books, of course. They're just amazing. I think they're entertaining. I love the way Lemony Snicket writes. I love his paragraphs, especially the one, I'm pretty sure it was, oh, I don't remember what book it was from. It's the Alvarez Elevator, I think it was. I don't remember the name, but it's his paragraph about how dark the elevator was, and it's you might say you're alone in the dark, in the dark, in the dark. It's a really cool paragraph. All right, yeah, it's cool. I'll show you a snippet here. That's what the paragraph looks like. It's just a mess. It's a mess. But yeah, no, I love the way Lemony Snicket writes. I think the books are so entertaining. It's about these three Baudelaire children. It's Violet, Sunny, and Klaus, and basically they're trying. They are orphans, and they're trying to escape this guy Count Olaf, who's trying to steal their fortune that their parents left for them, and it ends up being so much bigger than they think it is. Okay, next we have another series. So I actually have a representation of this series. It's not the first book. So this is Maximum Ride by James Patterson. I started reading this in middle school, and I think I finished it in high school because the books were still coming out by then. The first book is called School's Out Forever, I'm pretty sure. That should be the first book. And Maximum Ride is basically about... If you like X-Men, you'll probably like this. Just because it's the whole mutant thing. It's about these bird kids. It's about these kids who were experimented in a lab, and now they have bird wings, and it's like a little family of, like, experimental bird wing people. Teenagers. And there's this whole thing. It becomes such a big story, and I think I can't do it justice by just explaining it to you. But it's a really good story for pleasure reading. I really enjoyed it. I'm kind of tempted to go back into it to, like, reread it, because, like, you know, when you're in middle school, you don't always, like, you know, appreciate things. But I don't know if there's something bigger to it. There probably is, just, like, based on the facts that I do remember. But no, so this is a really good series. This is actually the last book, so do not read this one first. You will be very confused, most likely, especially with character names. But yeah, so that's that. Number 6, I do have a physical copy as well. It is Night by Elie Wiesel. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. I'm sorry if I am. I'm so sorry if I actually am pronouncing this name incorrectly. So basically, I chose this book. If you know what this book is already, then you could be like, why are you recommending this to read? I definitely recommend this to people who are older. Definitely not a book you'd read to your kids. I mean, unless you want to teach them some history and give them nightmares while you do it. So Night, as you might be able to tell by this barbed wire, it's about the Holocaust. Sorry, my camera battery died, so I'm not quite sure where I left off. I think I would say, so Night is about the Holocaust. It's coming from the perspective of Elie Wiesel, is the author of this book. He survived through the Holocaust, and this is basically his story of what happened. It's a story mainly focusing on him and his dad. Hey guys, so sorry my camera died again. So basically, about the Holocaust, Night, Wiesel. Really good book. It's kind of darker. It's just a lot to think about if you read this book. But it is very good, and I do recommend it. Number 5 is Catcher in the Rye. I definitely recommend this book to people who are older, or maybe like seniors in high school probably, because I think that you really need this book is an okay read normally, but I think you kind of rather love this book or you hate it, and it's always because you most likely connect to the main character in the book, which is where I think that comes from, the love and the hate. I'm actually planning to reread this book. I read it when I was a sophomore in high school, and I somewhat understood it, and I want to read it again because I feel like that now that I'm older, I'm going to appreciate this book more. So that's how I feel about it. Okay, number 4 I do not have with me, but I'll put it up, is To Kill a Mockingbird. And this book made me cry after I finished it. It's about racism in the South, basically. It's about this Girl Scout, and technically the book is all about how her brother Jem broke his arm, but it is a really good book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't want to give anything away. It's well written, it's well received. It's just a really good read, and I really appreciate this book, and it is one of my favorite books of all time. Okay, number 3 is actually a play. I don't have the play on me. I have it. My friend is borrowing it. Put it here. It is Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett. I don't know how to explain this play, rather than it's really good. If you want to look up Theater of the Absurd to help describe this play, it falls under that category. It's basically about these two people, Vladimir and Estragon, waiting for Godot. And that's the whole play. They're waiting for Godot. It's a really fun. It can be really funny to read. I definitely recommend reading it aloud with other people because it is a play. It is the only play I have on this list because I love this book / play so much. It's such a good book / play, and I really recommend it. I really love the characters, and I think that it has a lot to say about society, and it's just funny to read if you don't want to look into that deep level of stuff. Okay, next is number 2, and I have this book. It is Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut. I love this book. I read this when I was a senior. It was like our chosen thing. This became one of, like, obviously, one of my favorite books. It's... Someone's car alarm is going off. Okay, it's gone. No. So, this became one of my favorite books my senior year after I finished it. It's a great book just to read, honestly, in my opinion. And then when you try to figure this book out, that's another part that makes it fun, is that the fact that, like, I don't still completely know every single detail in this book and what every single thing means. Because it's about, basically, the main character, Billy Pilgrim, he, like, time travels, and, like, he meets aliens, but then, like, he's in the war, and, like, it's just a lot of what is going on. But it's a really fun read, and I think it also says a lot about society. So it's a fun read, and it also, like, teaches you a lesson and says just some themes overall about the world. Okay, time for number 1. This should be no surprise to anybody who's ever watched my channel ever. Harry Potter! Don't click away! I need to explain why this series is good besides just saying that it's good. So this is the Sorcerer's Stone. It's the big version of the book, so it's representing the whole series because the whole series is 7 books long. If you're not including all the other books, like Quidditch Through the Ages, and that series, that Hogwarts Library series. Basically, the reason why I like Harry Potter so much, the books, is because now that I'm older, when I was a book and when I was a book when I read them, when I was a child when I read them, when I was younger. It was just really entertaining. It's like wizards, spells, wah, 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 you got Lord Voldemort, wah, 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 and it was really cool. Now that I'm older, it's like I look back at it too, and it's like, wow, J.K. Rowling is saying, or Rowling, I think it's Rowling, is saying so much about society and about the world, like racism, like muggles and mudbloods, and, like, witches and wizards. Like, there's those names just carry so much weight to them. The way that, like, they're treated for, like, being different. There's just so much, like, commentary on the world in these books. And, like, if you take them apart, you can totally see that. Those themes are totally there. But the thing is, they're also just a really fantastic read for entertainment. So, like, you can go, wow, that was some really deep shit. Or you can go, wow, spells and shit. I keep this series held close to my heart. I really, really enjoy it. And I really hope that you might read it if you haven't already, because you should. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you made it all the way through me just talking about books. I post about videos every Sunday. Sorry if I didn't last week. I was really busy. I explained it earlier this year. It's a mess. I've got a busy schedule. I'm sorry for not uploading last weekend. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do what you want with those buttons down below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!